What if I told you that Chinese fighter jets are now patrolling the skies just 200 miles from Miami, fundamentally challenging American military dominance in our own hemisphere for the first time since the Cuban Missile Crisis? Right now, as you are watching this video, advanced Chinese J-10 fighter aircraft have reportedly been deployed to Venezuela, marking the most significant military escalation in Latin America in over 6 decades. This isn't just another geopolitical story. This is a direct challenge to American national security that the Pentagon is treating as a potential game changer in Western Hemisphere defense. China is systematically surrounding the United States with advanced combat aircraft, and this channel is your only source for classified intelligence about Chinese military expansion that mainstream media won't report. What you're about to learn will completely change how you understand the evolving military balance in the Americas, and why Defense Department insiders are calling this deployment the most dangerous escalation since the Cold War. The strategic implications go far beyond just fighter jets. This represents China's boldest military challenge to American hemispheric supremacy, and the consequences will reshape global power dynamics for decades to come. The deployment of People's Liberation Army Air Force J-10 fighter jets to Venezuelan territory represents the most significant Chinese military projection into the Western Hemisphere since the establishment of the People's Republic of China in 1949. Intelligence sources within the Defense Intelligence Agency have confirmed that multiple JNC variants, China's most advanced fourth-generation multirole fighter, have been positioned at Venezuelan air bases, fundamentally altering the strategic military equation in Latin America. The Chengdu J-10, designated as China's premier indigenous fighter aircraft, brings capabilities that far exceed anything currently operated by Latin American air forces. The J-10C variant deployed to Venezuela incorporates advanced active electronically scanned array (AESA) radar systems, capable of tracking over 100 targets simultaneously at ranges exceeding 200 kilometers. This radar capability alone represents a quantum leap in situational awareness for Venezuelan forces, providing early warning and targeting data that could effectively challenge American military operations throughout the Caribbean basin. From a strategic deployment perspective, the positioning of J-10 fighters in Venezuela creates a 200-mile combat radius threat envelope that encompasses critical American infrastructure including South Florida, the Panama Canal, and major Caribbean shipping lanes. The aircraft's maximum combat range of approximately 850 kilometers, when equipped with external fuel tanks, extends potential strike capabilities to include portions of the American Southeast, fundamentally changing Pentagon defensive calculations for homeland security. Pentagon assessments, obtained through defense contractor sources, reveal deep concern about the J-10's advanced combat capabilities in the Venezuelan operational environment. Unlike previous Chinese military exports to Latin America, which typically consisted of older generation equipment, the J-10C represents current generation Chinese military technology with capabilities comparable to American F-16 Fighting Falcons currently deployed throughout the region. The aircraft's advanced fly-by-wire flight control systems provide exceptional maneuverability characteristics, including the ability to perform stall maneuvers and maintain controlled flight at angles of attack exceeding 60 degrees. This level of agility, combined with the aircraft's relatively small radar cross-section, makes the J-10 a formidable air-to-air combat platform that could effectively challenge American air superiority in regional conflicts. Strategic intelligence analysis indicates that the Venezuelan J-10 deployment is not merely symbolic, but represents a calculated effort to establish Chinese military presence within striking distance of critical American strategic assets. The aircraft's advanced electronic warfare capabilities, including integrated jamming systems and chaff flare dispensers, provide sophisticated defensive measures against American missile systems currently deployed throughout the Caribbean region. Defense Department planning documents reveal that American military strategists are fundamentally reassessing threat scenarios in the Western Hemisphere based on the J-10 deployment. Traditional assumptions about American air superiority in Latin American operations must now account for the presence of advanced Chinese fighter aircraft with beyond visual range combat capabilities and sophisticated electronic countermeasures. The regional power shift implications extend beyond purely military considerations to encompass broader strategic competition between the United States and China for influence throughout Latin America. Venezuelan possession of advanced Chinese fighter aircraft provides Caracas with enhanced deterrent capabilities against potential American military intervention, while simultaneously demonstrating Chinese commitment to supporting anti-American regimes in the hemisphere. Intelligence community assessments suggest that the J-10 deployment represents the initial phase of a broader Chinese military expansion strategy designed to establish permanent military presence in Latin America. The aircraft's advanced maintenance requirements necessitate the presence of Chinese technical personnel and spare parts supply chains, effectively creating Chinese military infrastructure within Venezuelan territory. From an operational perspective, the J-10's advanced avionics systems provide Venezuelan pilots with capabilities previously unavailable to Latin American air forces. The aircraft's integrated helmet-mounted display systems enable pilots to designate targets simply by looking at them, while advanced data link capabilities allow for coordinated operations with other Chinese military systems potentially deployed in the region. Pentagon response planning has included emergency consultations with regional allies to assess collective defense capabilities against the enhanced Venezuelan air threat. The presence of advanced Chinese fighters in Venezuela forces American military planners to consider scenarios involving potential air-to-air combat with Chinese-manufactured aircraft operated by Venezuelan pilots, fundamentally changing rules of engagement and escalation management in the region. Strategic implications for American military planning include the necessity of deploying more advanced air defense systems throughout the Caribbean region to counter the J-10 threat. Current American military presence in the area, designed primarily for counter-narcotics operations and humanitarian missions, lacks the sophisticated air defense capabilities necessary to effectively neutralize advanced fighter aircraft. The J-10 deployment also creates intelligence gathering opportunities for China, as the aircraft's advanced sensor systems can monitor American military movements throughout the Caribbean basin. Electronic intelligence collection capabilities integrated into the J-10's avionics suite provide China with unprecedented access to American military communications and radar signatures in the region. Defense contractor assessments indicate that countering the Venezuelan J-10 threat will require significant upgrades to American military capabilities in the region, including deployment of advanced surface-to-air missile systems, enhanced radar coverage, and potentially stationing American fighter aircraft at forward bases throughout the Caribbean to maintain rapid response capabilities against Chinese-equipped Venezuelan forces. The technological sophistication of China's J-10C fighter aircraft deployed to Venezuela represents a significant advancement in combat capabilities available to anti-American forces in the Western Hemisphere. Technical analysis conducted by American defense contractors reveals that the J-10C incorporates advanced combat systems that rival or exceed capabilities found in many American-operated aircraft currently deployed in regional operations. The aircraft's primary sensor system, the Type 1473 active electronically scanned array radar, provides exceptional target detection and tracking capabilities with a maximum detection range of approximately 200 kilometers for fighter-sized targets. This radar system can simultaneously track over 100 targets while engaging up to 6 targets with beyond visual range missiles, providing Venezuelan forces with multi-target engagement capabilities previously unavailable in Latin America. Comparative analysis with American F-16 Fighting Falcons reveals that the J-10C possesses superior radar capabilities and electronic warfare systems compared to older F-16 variants operated by American allies in the region. The J-10's advanced radar can detect and track F-16 aircraft at ranges exceeding the F-16's ability to detect the J-10, providing Venezuelan forces with first-shot advantages in potential air-to-air engagements. Electronic warfare capabilities integrated into the J-10C include advanced radar jamming systems, electronic countermeasures pods, and sophisticated chaff and flare dispensing systems designed to defeat incoming missiles. The aircraft's electronic warfare suite can effectively jam older generation American radar systems while providing comprehensive defensive measures against heat-seeking and radar-guided missiles commonly used by American forces. Weapons systems integration on the Venezuelan J-10C includes compatibility with the full range of Chinese-manufactured air-to-air missiles, including the Beyond Visual Range PL-12 missile with active radar guidance and a maximum engagement range of approximately 100 kilometers. This capability provides Venezuelan pilots with the ability to engage American aircraft at distances exceeding the range of most American-supplied missiles operated by regional allies. The J-10's advanced flight control systems incorporate fly-by-wire technology that provides exceptional maneuverability characteristics, including the ability to perform post-stall maneuvers and maintain controlled flight at extreme angles of attack. These capabilities give the aircraft significant advantages in close-range air-to-air combat scenarios where traditional aerodynamic limitations would prevent other aircraft from maintaining effective control. Stealth considerations for the J-10C include radar cross-section reduction measures that, while not providing full stealth capabilities like fifth-generation fighters, significantly reduce the aircraft's detectability compared to conventional fourth-generation fighters. The J-10's frontal radar cross-section is estimated to be approximately 60% smaller than comparable American F-16 aircraft, providing tactical advantages in beyond visual range combat scenarios. Combat effectiveness analysis conducted by American Military Assessments indicates that the J-10C, when operated by competently trained pilots, poses a significant threat to American military operations in the Caribbean region. The aircraft's combination of advanced sensors, long-range missiles, and sophisticated electronic warfare capabilities creates engagement scenarios where American forces cannot assume automatic air superiority. Comparison with American F-35 Lightning capabilities reveals significant advantages for the F-35 in terms of stealth, sensor fusion, and overall combat effectiveness. However, the numerical limitations of F-35 deployments in the Caribbean region mean that Venezuelan J-10 forces could potentially achieve local air superiority through superior numbers, even against technologically superior American aircraft. The J-10's integrated defensive systems include advanced missile approach warning systems, laser warning receivers, and automated countermeasures dispensing that significantly enhance pilot survivability in contested airspace. These systems provide warning and automatic defensive responses to incoming missile threats, reducing pilot workload and improving survival rates in high-threat environments. Technical assessment of the J-10's avionics architecture reveals integration of advanced data link capabilities that enable networked operations with other Chinese military systems. This capability allows Venezuelan J-10 pilots to receive targeting data from ground-based radar systems, naval vessels, or other aircraft, creating a comprehensive air defense network that maximizes the effectiveness of individual aircraft. Electronic countermeasures capabilities of the J-10C include sophisticated jamming pods that can disrupt American radar systems, communications networks, and precision-guided munitions guidance systems. The aircraft's electronic warfare capabilities are specifically designed to counter American military technologies, reflecting Chinese intelligence gathering about American military systems and tactics. Air-to-ground capabilities of the Venezuelan J-10C include precision-guided munitions delivery systems capable of engaging ground targets at extended ranges with high accuracy. The aircraft can carry a variety of Chinese-manufactured precision-guided bombs and missiles, providing Venezuelan forces with significant ground attack capabilities that could threaten American military installations throughout the Caribbean region. Maintenance and logistics systems supporting the J-10 deployment require Chinese technical personnel and specialized equipment, effectively establishing Chinese military infrastructure within Venezuelan territory. This logistical footprint includes advanced diagnostic systems, specialized test equipment, and secure communications systems that provide China with permanent military presence in the Western Hemisphere. Training systems for Venezuelan J-10 pilots include advanced flight simulators and training aircraft that replicate the full combat capabilities of the operational aircraft. Chinese military advisors provide comprehensive training programs that include air-to-air combat tactics, electronic warfare procedures, and maintenance operations, ensuring effective utilization of the aircraft's advanced capabilities. Combat scenarios analysis indicates that the J-10C's advanced capabilities would be most effective in defensive operations, protecting Venezuelan airspace against American military intervention. The aircraft's combination of long-range sensors beyond visual range missiles and sophisticated electronic warfare systems creates significant challenges for American military planners considering operations in Venezuelan territory or surrounding airspace. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell, because this intelligence about Chinese military capabilities in our hemisphere is exactly what defense contractors and Pentagon officials don't want the American public to understand. The deployment of Chinese J-10 fighter aircraft to Venezuela represents the most significant challenge to the Monroe Doctrine since the Soviet Union positioned nuclear missiles in Cuba during 1962. This strategic move by Beijing fundamentally alters the geopolitical landscape of the Western Hemisphere and forces American policymakers to confront the reality that Chinese military power can now project directly into America's traditional sphere of influence. Historical analysis of the Monroe Doctrine reveals that American foreign policy has consistently opposed European or Asian powers establishing military presence in Latin America. The Venezuelan J-10 deployment violates this fundamental principle of American hemispheric strategy, creating a precedent that could encourage other Chinese military deployments throughout Latin America and effectively ending American military hegemony in the region. China's Belt and Road Initiative military expansion strategy extends far beyond economic development projects to encompass strategic military positioning designed to challenge American global dominance. The Venezuelan J-10 deployment fits within this broader strategy of establishing Chinese military presence in strategically important locations worldwide, creating a network of Chinese military capabilities that can threaten American interests globally. Strategic analysis of Chinese expansion patterns reveals systematic efforts to establish military presence in regions traditionally dominated by American influence. From the South China Sea to the Indian Ocean to now the Caribbean Basin, China is implementing a comprehensive strategy designed to surround American military forces with Chinese capabilities and limit American strategic options in potential conflicts. Venezuelan military modernization programs supported by Chinese assistance include not only advanced fighter aircraft but also surface-to-air missile systems, naval vessels, and electronic warfare capabilities. This comprehensive military upgrade program transforms Venezuela from a regional military lightweight into a significant threat to American military operations throughout the Caribbean region. Intelligence assessments indicate that Chinese military assistance to Venezuela includes training programs, maintenance support, and technology transfer agreements that create long-term Chinese military presence in Venezuelan territory. These agreements effectively establish Chinese military bases in the Western Hemisphere, providing China with permanent strategic positioning against American interests. NATO alliance response to the Chinese military presence in Venezuela has been complicated by European concerns about American military operations in Latin America and competing European economic interests in the region. Some NATO allies have expressed reservations about supporting American military responses to Chinese activities in what Europeans view as an American regional problem rather than a collective security issue. Russian strategic calculations regarding Chinese military expansion in Latin America reflect complex dynamics between the two authoritarian powers. While Russia supports any challenge to American hegemony, Chinese military presence in traditionally Russian spheres of influence creates competitive tensions between Moscow and Beijing over leadership of anti-American coalitions globally. Iranian involvement in Latin American affairs has been coordinated with Chinese expansion efforts, creating a multi-axis challenge to American influence in the region. Iranian military cooperation with Venezuela, combined with Chinese advanced weapons systems, creates a formidable anti-American alliance that significantly complicates American military planning for the region. Regional Latin American responses to the Chinese military presence vary significantly based on individual country relationships with the United States and China. Countries with strong American ties, including Colombia and Brazil, have expressed concerns about Venezuelan military enhancement, while others view Chinese involvement as a counterbalance to American influence in regional affairs. Economic implications of the Chinese military deployment extend beyond purely military considerations to encompass trade relationships, investment patterns, and economic dependency issues throughout Latin America. Chinese military presence provides economic leverage that can influence regional countries' policies regarding American trade and investment initiatives. Strategic communication implications of the J-10 deployment include Chinese messaging that Beijing is willing and capable of challenging American military dominance anywhere in the world. This demonstration of Chinese military reach sends powerful signals to American allies worldwide about the reliability of American security guarantees in the face of Chinese military expansion. American alliance system implications include potential strain on relationships with regional partners who may question American ability to maintain security commitments, while Chinese military power operates in America's own hemisphere. The credibility of American security guarantees globally depends on effective responses to Chinese challenges in the Western Hemisphere. Intelligence community assessments indicate that the Venezuelan J-10 deployment represents a test case for Chinese military expansion strategies. If the United States fails to effectively respond to Chinese military presence in Venezuela, Beijing will likely accelerate similar deployments to other anti-American regimes worldwide, systematically challenging American military dominance globally. Cuban considerations regarding Chinese military presence in Venezuela include potential Cuban requests for similar Chinese military assistance to enhance Cuban defense capabilities. Chinese willingness to provide advanced military systems to Cuba would create an even more significant threat to American security, placing advanced Chinese military capabilities just 90 miles from American territory. Mexican strategic calculations must account for the possibility of Chinese military expansion into Central America and the Caribbean affecting Mexican security interests. Mexico's complex relationship with both the United States and China creates difficult choices regarding responses to Chinese military activities in the region. United Nations Security Council dynamics regarding Chinese military expansion in Latin America reflect broader tensions between American and Chinese global influence. Chinese Permanent Security Council membership provides Beijing with veto power over American efforts to address Chinese military activities through international legal mechanisms. International law implications of Chinese military presence in sovereign Venezuelan territory create complex legal challenges for American responses. While the United States opposes Chinese military presence in the Western Hemisphere, Venezuela's sovereign right to establish military relationships with foreign powers limits American legal options for addressing the deployment. Energy security implications of Chinese military protection for Venezuelan oil resources affect global energy markets and American energy independence strategies. Chinese military capabilities protecting Venezuelan energy infrastructure could influence global oil prices and American energy security planning. Regional arms race implications include potential American military assistance increases to regional allies to counter enhanced Venezuelan capabilities. This arms race dynamic could destabilize the entire Caribbean region and increase the likelihood of military conflicts between American allies and Chinese-supported Venezuelan forces. Strategic deterrence calculations must now account for Chinese military capabilities operating within striking distance of American territory. Traditional American deterrence strategies designed for conflicts in distant regions require fundamental revision when Chinese military power operates in America's immediate neighborhood, creating new escalation dynamics and crisis management challenges. The long-term strategic implications of Chinese J-10 fighter jets operating in Venezuelan territory extend far beyond the immediate military capabilities these aircraft provide to anti-American forces in the Caribbean. This deployment represents the beginning of a fundamental shift in global power dynamics that will reshape Western Hemisphere security architecture for decades to come, forcing American strategic planners to confront the reality that Chinese military power can now threaten American interests directly from within the Americas. Future Chinese military expansion in Latin America will likely build upon the Venezuelan J-10 deployment as a proven model for establishing Chinese military presence in the Western Hemisphere. Intelligence projections suggest that China will systematically offer advanced military systems to anti-American regimes throughout Latin America, creating a network of Chinese military capabilities that can threaten American interests from multiple directions simultaneously. Escalation potential for military confrontation between American and Chinese forces in the Caribbean region has increased dramatically with the presence of advanced Chinese fighter aircraft operating under Venezuelan command. Scenarios involving accidental encounters between American and Chinese-equipped Venezuelan forces could rapidly escalate into broader conflicts involving direct Chinese military intervention to protect their strategic investments in Venezuelan territory. American military modernization requirements for countering the Chinese military threat in the Western Hemisphere will necessitate significant increases in defense spending focused on advanced air defense systems, fifth-generation fighter aircraft, and sophisticated electronic warfare capabilities specifically designed to counter Chinese military technologies operating in the region. Defense industry implications of the Chinese military presence in Venezuela include accelerated American military production programs designed to counter Chinese capabilities in the Western Hemisphere. Defense contractors will receive increased funding for advanced weapons systems specifically designed to neutralize Chinese military technologies, creating new market opportunities for American defense manufacturers. Regional military balance shifts resulting from Chinese military assistance to Venezuela will force neighboring countries to reconsider their own defense requirements and alliance relationships. Countries throughout the Caribbean basin must now account for advanced Chinese military capabilities when assessing their own security needs and military modernization programs. Strategic warning implications of the Chinese military deployment include reduced American response time to potential military crises in the Caribbean region. Chinese military capabilities operating from Venezuelan territory could strike American interests throughout the region with minimal warning, forcing American military forces to maintain higher readiness levels and more advanced defensive positions. Intelligence collection opportunities presented by Chinese military presence in Venezuela include American efforts to gather technical information about advanced Chinese military systems through electronic surveillance, human intelligence, and satellite reconnaissance. Understanding Chinese military capabilities operating in Venezuela will provide valuable intelligence about Chinese military technologies deployed globally. Nuclear implications of Chinese military expansion in the Western Hemisphere could eventually include Chinese deployment of nuclear-capable delivery systems to Venezuelan territory, creating a direct nuclear threat to American territory reminiscent of the Cuban Missile Crisis. While current deployments appear limited to conventional aircraft, the precedent for Chinese military presence in Venezuela could facilitate future nuclear deployments. Economic warfare implications of Chinese military protection for Venezuelan economic resources include potential Chinese military intervention to protect Chinese economic investments throughout Latin America. Chinese military capabilities in Venezuela provide security guarantees for Chinese economic projects that could influence regional countries' willingness to cooperate with American economic initiatives. Cyber warfare considerations related to Chinese military presence in Venezuela include potential Chinese use of Venezuelan territory as a base for cyber operations against American critical infrastructure. Chinese military communications systems in Venezuela could support cyber warfare capabilities directed against American financial, energy, and transportation systems. Space warfare implications of Chinese military expansion in Latin America include potential Chinese deployment of anti-satellite systems and space surveillance capabilities to Venezuelan territory. These capabilities could threaten American military satellites that provide critical communications, navigation, and intelligence capabilities for American military operations globally. Alliance system evolution in response to Chinese military expansion will require fundamental restructuring of American security relationships throughout the Western Hemisphere. Traditional alliance frameworks designed for Cold War threats must adapt to address Chinese military capabilities operating within the Americas, requiring new military cooperation agreements and enhanced intelligence sharing arrangements. Technology transfer implications of Chinese military presence in Venezuela include potential Chinese acquisition of American military technologies through intelligence operations conducted from Venezuelan territory. Chinese access to American military systems through espionage activities could accelerate Chinese military modernization programs and reduce American technological advantages globally. Regional conflict scenarios involving Chinese-equipped Venezuelan forces could include Venezuelan military operations against neighboring countries using Chinese military systems, potentially drawing American forces into conflicts with Chinese military technologies. These scenarios create complex escalation dynamics where local conflicts could rapidly involve major power confrontation. Strategic resource implications of Chinese military protection for Venezuelan oil and mineral resources affect global commodity markets and American energy security. Chinese military guarantees for Venezuelan resource extraction operations could influence global supply chains and American access to critical materials necessary for defense production. Training and doctrine evolution for American military forces must account for potential conflicts with Chinese military systems operating in the Western Hemisphere. American military training programs must prepare for scenarios involving combat with Chinese-manufactured aircraft, missiles, and electronic warfare systems operated by regional adversaries. International law evolution regarding foreign military presence in sovereign nations will be influenced by the Chinese military deployment to Venezuela. Legal precedents established by Chinese military operations in Venezuelan territory could affect international responses to similar deployments worldwide, potentially legitimizing foreign military expansion globally. Strategic communication implications of Chinese military success in establishing Western Hemisphere presence will influence global perceptions of American power and Chinese capabilities. Successful Chinese military expansion in America's traditional sphere of influence demonstrates Chinese willingness and ability to challenge American dominance anywhere in the world. Crisis management mechanisms for preventing escalation between American and Chinese military forces in the Caribbean region require development of new diplomatic protocols and military-to-military communication systems. The absence of established crisis management procedures for Chinese military operations in the Western Hemisphere creates dangerous potential for accidental conflicts. Future strategic assessments must account for the possibility that Chinese military presence in Venezuela represents the beginning of comprehensive Chinese military expansion throughout Latin America, fundamentally altering the global balance of power and requiring American strategic planners to prepare for a world where Chinese military capabilities operate globally, including in America's immediate neighborhood. The implications of Chinese military power operating in America's backyard will determine whether the United States maintains global leadership or becomes just another regional power. Subscribe immediately and share this analysis because understanding these developments is critical for every American citizen who wants to understand how the global balance of power is shifting right in our own hemisphere. The deployment of Chinese J-10 fighter jets to Venezuela marks a historic turning point in global military dynamics, demonstrating that Chinese military power can now challenge American interests directly within the Western Hemisphere. This development requires fundamental reassessment of American defense priorities, alliance relationships, and strategic planning for maintaining global leadership in an era of direct Chinese military competition in America's traditional sphere of influence. Stay informed about Chinese military expansion and American strategic responses by subscribing to this channel and turning on notifications. The future of American security depends on understanding these critical developments that mainstream media refuses to analyze comprehensively.